Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trail Mix, where the nuts might be a little stale, but the company is always fresh.
Craig Crawford here, retired journalist working for nothing but the truth and Social Security check. Today we got Ben with us, Ben Franklin. Remember what he said? You got a republic if you can keep it. Well, today we've learned there are at least some folks out there trying to keep it. We got a judge that threw out the political prosecutions of two prosecutors, and James Comey and Letitia James. We'll be getting into that. So here's first of all, just in the last half hour or so,
This is the CBS News special report. I'm John Dickerson. The criminal cases, I should say, against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James have just been dismissed. Comey was charged with giving false statements to Congress back in 2020 and obstruction of justice. He pleaded not guilty. James, who also pleaded not guilty, was charged with bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. The case was being prosecuted by Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, who has never tried a criminal case. A Virginia federal judge found Halligan was illegally appointed to the role. Let's start with Justice correspondent Scott McFarland.
Well, we'll start with Carolyn. Hello.
Hi. Interesting news.
You know what? I got out my, I just introduced this. I got out my Ben Franklin bobblehead. Mm-hmm. Because these are good times to remember what he said. You got to, after the Constitutional Convention, and somebody asked him when he walked outside, do we have a republic or a monarchy? And he said, you have a republic if you can keep it.
Well, let's hope we do.
Well, that's kind of my point today is we had as a judge, I'm going to put her picture up here, who is helping us keep our republic today.
And I think she was correct, and I'm not surprised.
And this is her ruling today that the Comey case and the Letitia James case should both be dismissed. Now, kind of on a technicality, wouldn't you say? I mean, we haven't really gone to the merits of whether this was a vindictive prosecution or not.
No,
that was not what we can get.
That issue was not before her. The only issue that was before Judge Curry was whether Halligan had been legally appointed. She decided that issue. That's all that was before her.
And the question I have about this legal appointment business is, why can't that be cured before you go to the step of actually dismissing the cases?
Because it had already been indicted under her.
Okay. All right.
The indictment itself is invalid because she was not legally appointed. So the indictment is invalid.
Yeah.
I mean, they can go back to again, and they might be able to indict it again with a proper lawyer. But the indictment that was returned was invalid because the appointment of Halligan was invalid.
And what was invalid about it?
Because she was not legally appointed. How did
they manage to do this?
Craig, have you read the statute?
No. Okay,
that's why you don't get it. The statute says that if there is a lapse in an appointment, that the Attorney General can appoint a person for a 120-day term. Mm-hmm. And if at the end of that 120-day term, no one else, there has not been a presidentially appointed U.S. attorney and confirmed by the Senate, then the district court will appoint someone. That didn't happen here. the guy who was fired, and Eric Siebert or something.
Yeah, yeah.
He was appointed the U.S. attorney at the beginning of the Trump administration.
Right.
He had been he had been an AUSA, an assistant U.S. attorney in that office. So he was appointed to be that person for 120 days. At the end of the 120 days, there was no presidentially appointed and confirmed U.S. attorney. So his appointment was up. And what should have happened was that the district court then should have appointed someone. Generally, they will appoint the person who has already been appointed for that 120-day term, and everything's fine. That person continues. That did not happen. I don't know whether the Eastern District of Virginia court was given the opportunity to do that. I don't know what happened and why they were not involved. But what happened instead was that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, appointed another person for a 120-day term. Well, that violates the statute.
God, how could they do that? How could they?
Now, could who do that?
I mean, how could Bondi do that?
Well, they just did it. They just did it.
Thinking that they would get away with it.
Well, and quite frankly, it has happened in other places. Somebody has to challenge it. You know, the court's not going to reach out and do it. Someone has to challenge it. And it was challenged.
What better way to get it challenged to indict somebody with an invalid U.S. attorney?
Well, actually, in other districts right now, there are challenges. But this was the first one, I think, that has actually come to a ruling. But there are other districts. I think in New Jersey, there are defense attorneys challenging it, where Alina Bobbitt is not Bobbitt. What's her name? I don't remember her name. But Bobbitt was the
Alina Habba.
Yeah. Bobbitt was the one years ago who butchered her husband. But
so to speak,
it is being challenged in other places. But as far as I know, there has not been a ruling anywhere else yet.
Yeah. Need to say hello to a commenter. We got a commenter in here. Draco says, "Hi, love y'all, and God bless you." Well, thank you, Draco. You're welcome to hop in. I've got the link right there, Draco, if you want to join us. but I was going to put up the. I think I had some quotes here. Yeah, I mean, here's some quotes that I pulled from her opinion. I've got a little bio on her over here. Also, we'll get into, but. There is simply no alternative course to cure the unconstitutional problem because Ms. Halligan had no lawful authority to present the indictment. I will grant Mr. Comey's motion and dismiss the indictment without prejudice. So that goes to my next question for our former federal prosecutor expert. What do we mean by without prejudice when judges say that in a ruling?
That means that the the Department of Justice can seek to have that case indicted again. They are allowed to do that. Now, there is still the issue of the statute of limitations. And I read somewhere that might not be a bar to it because there is some statute that allows a re-indictment when an indictment is dismissed. I don't know what it is, and I didn't have a chance to look for it. If that's the case, then they might be able to indict a second time with a duly authorized lawyer. Halligan can't do it, but somebody else could. Someone who was already in that office. But everything I read says that there's nobody in that office willing to participate, but they could start firing people. I don't know. But I would guess that Comey's attorneys will argue that the statute of limitations does not allow the indictment now because the time period. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. What will happen now? That will go to a judge in Virginia, not back to Curry, because her only mandate was to decide whether the appointment of Halligan was valid.
That's the only thing she was charged with deciding.
Exactly. Yeah, that was all. And the reason for that was because a judge in Virginia would have it would be inappropriate for a judge in that same district to be deciding it for the U.S. attorney who was there. And so generally the courts will ask a judge from another district, usually within the same circuit, and Virginia and South Carolina are both in the Fourth Circuit. So they would ask another judge to handle that matter.
And so she did not, I wasn't even supposed to address
the
question of whether the statute of limitations is involved here in whether or not they can refile the case.
Correct.
Yeah. So we really don't know the answer to that at this point?
I would say no, because I had first thought that it would be barred, but then I read somewhere online, just half an hour ago, that there is some statute that would allow the case to be indicted again. And I don't know what that is. So because they couldn't legally figure out, because they couldn't figure out how to legally appoint a U.S. attorney, they've lost the chance of prosecuting Comey at all. Well, I don't know that they have. I don't know that they have lost it, because it's possible that there is a way to get around it. I don't know what the statute is that they're saying allows it. So that's something we'll have to look for. And see if somebody explains it. But.
Well, I know Comey didn't, Comey sounded like he doesn't think it's over with. And I pulled his on Instagram just an hour or so ago. He put this on.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again. I was very lucky that some of the best lawyers in America stepped forward to represent me. I hope they serve as an example to more and more lawyers, especially at some of the big firms, to participate in protecting our liberty, protecting the rule of law. And my family and friends were always with me, and luckily for me, include some of those great lawyers. This case mattered to me personally, obviously, but it matters most because a message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see that as fundamentally un-American and a threat to the rule of law that keeps all of us free. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent, I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary, the gift from our founders that protects us from a would-be tyrant. When I was a kid, my parents would wake us up for school every morning by snapping open the shades and saying, "Time to rise and shine and show the world what you're made of." Well, it's that time, America. It's time to stand up and show the fools who would frighten us, who would divide us, that we're made of stronger stuff, that we believe in the rule of law, that we believe in the importance of doing things by the law. So stand tall, shine, and keep the faith.
He knows how to put a little drama to it, doesn't he?
He does. He's good.
Yeah. And then we had Letitia's statement here. Oh, let me get the comments out of the way. I am heartened by today's victory and grateful for the prayers and support I've received from around the country. I remain fearless in the face of these baseless charges as I continue fighting for New Yorkers every single day. They both sound like they don't expect this is completely over with, because Donald Trump doesn't give up.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of fighting left to do.
Mm-hmm. And so, what is the actual next steps before you go? Who files what, or what happens? Anything? Or
well, I would now it will go back to the judge, Nachmanoff in Virginia, who is hearing Comey's case, and the case has been dismissed. But my guess is the government will either appeal; they can appeal that to the Fourth Circuit. Or they can go back and try to indict it again. So, they may do both. They can certainly do both. And then would be the issue of, on appeal, the Fourth Circuit would have to decide whether Judge Curry was correct. And that would take a while to make a determination. Or the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Department of Justice, can go back with someone else acting as the prosecutor and go back to the grand jury and ask for a re-indictment.
Could they refile this somewhere else under some other U.S. attorney who's already there? Or
what are you talking about? You mean
I'm trying to figure out if Halligan stays right where she is. Well, she can't.
Well, all they have to do she's the one who went into the grand jury and handled it. Now, an assistant U.S. attorney could probably go into the grand jury and do it.
Oh,
I mean, that's the way I read the order, because Curry specifically stated that Halligan had gone into the grand jury alone. She was the sole person in there.
Yeah.
So my reading of that is that another assistant U.S. attorney in that office could present the case to the grand jury.
And that could have happened originally, you're saying. So the report.
Well, it could have, yes. Although my understanding was that there was no one in the office who was willing to do it.
That's what Comey was just alluding to in his statement. Yeah. That he was proud of the prosecutors who had refused to go along with this scheme, the prosecutors in that office. So now they got to figure out whether they can find somebody in that office to bring the case again, if they bring a case again. I imagine Bondi's trying her best to talk Trump out of doing this, I would think, but good luck to her.
You would think, but
let's remember that's the only reason this is happening.
Yeah, they can hire somebody else as an assistant U.S. attorney to go in and do it. They don't have to have somebody who's already there.
Yeah. Okay.
There are those two people who are participating in the case now. Lemon and somebody else. They are assistant U.S. attorneys from North Carolina, and one of them could go in and do it because they're already on the case.
Yeah, I just did a little quick bio here of the judge today because I just want to honor these judges when they try to protect our rule of law. And Cameron McGowan Curry is a senior federal judge from South Carolina, known for being a straight shooter with zero patience for political circus acts, a former federal prosecutor and state deputy attorney general. She built a reputation for methodical, by-the-book rulings long before President Bill Clinton appointed her to the U.S. District Court in the 1990s. Today, she's semi-retired, but called in for a high-stake mess. Yeah, that was what that was. When Jamie came in, Jamie.
Hello.
Hi, Jamie.
I forgot to give Carolyn a bong. I have a new thing, Carolyn. I got busy and forgot. But when we have a new guest come in, we get a little treat here. Let's see.
I think you should have a different one for all of the regulars. You know.
Oh, you do?
do.
Oh, now you're getting greedy. You want your own.
No, I want Carolyn to have like a cymbal or a whistle.
Oh, okay, well, Carolyn, you could have a drum roll. There you go. And Jamie almost had a heart stress test today, but the machine broke. So, is that what happened? Am I accurate on that?
Yeah, they had to reschedule me for January. They're sending it out for repairs.
Oh, wow.
Now, what does that say about your heart? You broke the stress machine.
Didn't even get that far.
You must have a strong heart if you actually broke the machine.
Well, I've got an aneurysm, and every few years they have to sort of
check it out. Yeah,
check it out. Yeah.
Do you have any questions before we lose Carolyn on this Comey case? We've been thrashing it out.
No, I just saw the announcement. You know, the good news that someone had the good sense to give the case the heave-ho, and thought I'd check in and see what she had to say about it.
Yeah, we have a judge here, Judge. What was it, Carolyn? Curry? Curry.
Yeah.
That's her. She's semi-retired, a Clinton appointee, known for straight shooting and no nonsense, and she is helping save America today.
Yeah, she's a former DOJ lawyer.
Yeah,
that's why I got my Benjamin Franklin bobblehead out, because he said you've got a republic, people, if you can keep it. And this woman here, Judge Curry, she's helping us keep it.
Yeah, I'm that was the one I was watching, and I'm still looking to see if they can clean up this Ukraine mess.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of on hold now while we see what they work out. I mean, but the main thing is that original proposal is pretty much off the table, whatever that episode was.
They did some pretty fast backtracking on that with the reaction it got.
So I think and at the end of the day, I think this just bought more time for Putin to keep on killing people, which is probably what it was all for to begin with. So. Anyway.
No, I can see them giving up land. If it were me, and I was Zelensky, I said, okay, I'll give up the land. You give me NATO.
Yeah.
Just that. That's
might be
the
a fair trade. Yeah. The land they've already gotten. I'm going to have to run.
Okay.
I'm out.
I'm going to go and I'll put together a little short video here from our earlier discussion. Carolyn, appreciate you hopping in on the short notice.
Okay. Yeah. All right. See you. Goodbye. Bye, Jamie.
Bye.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I honestly think that if it came down to it, that would be the stance I would take on for Zelensky, just flat out, you know, I want into NATO, you get the land here.
Yeah. It could come. I mean, they've got.
If Trump wants his peace prize, that's the way to get it.
Yeah, Putin ended up with he went from 7% of Ukraine before he invaded, counting Crimea.
Yeah.
And added and got it up to 20% of
Putin
Ukraine.
has always wanted the Donbass, and that's what they were giving him. And that is some of the most productive land in Ukraine. And because it gives him that Black Sea access, and it's just, it was the part he wanted and hated losing via the USSR going bye-bye.
And we got a friend coming in here. Let's see, what are we going to give Lou? We'll give him the gong. What do you think?
Okay.
Gong? The gong or the drum roll for Lou, do you think?
Oh, do you have a pair of crashing cymbals?
Yeah, this one ends in crashing cymbals. Here we go, Lou. Here's your intro.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't think I've ever gotten an introduction like that before. I like it.
Well, everybody has to bow now.
Sorry I couldn't jump in earlier. I was tied up in meetings.
Yeah, we were. Carolyn and I were hashing through the Comey decision, and I've been singing the praises of when these judges step up to the plate and do the right thing. I mean, we got to pay attention to who they are and be thankful for them. And is the way I see things. And here's her ruling today, deciding that the U.S. attorney was unlawfully appointed, and therefore the cases against Comey and Letitia James had to be dropped. And the judge is this woman right here, a semi-retired Judge Curry, is her name. She's appointed by Clinton, and she said this: there is simply no alternative course to cure the unconstitutional problem, and so she put that question to rest. They can come back for more, I guess, but
well,
they can come back with a legal person, but then it would have to go all the way through the grand jury all over again.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, they have to appoint a legitimate interim U.S. attorney, and then they have to take it back to the grand jury. But I wonder, I don't know if this is true because I don't practice criminal law, I practice civil. But the statute of limitations was about to run.
Yeah,
they filed like before the statute ran. So this dismissal, unless the indictment relates back to the original filing, unless the new indictment relates back to the original filing, maybe it's barred by the statute. I don't know.
Yeah. Carolyn was saying she had to, that the statute is going to govern that. The DOJ is saying the statute lets them refile it, but Carolyn doesn't think so, and that it's going to go to a different judge actually, because this judge was only charged with deciding this one question about whether the U.S. attorney was properly appointed, and so another judge in Virginia probably is going to have to decide about the statute of limitations question. But wouldn't you think Pam Bondi is trying her best to talk Trump out of this? Just let me stop this, please. But I don't think he'll let her.
Well, now wouldn't they actually have to get a congressional approval? Because that was the grounds on which Halligan was.
Well, they could use another attorney. See, she could always have used another attorney in her office to file these charges, and then her status wouldn't be an issue.
Or they could just let the district court appoint an interim U.S. attorney, which is what usually happens after the 120-day period expires, and then that interim U.S. attorney can seek the indictment. But look, Eric Siebert, who was appointed I guess he was appointed interim by Trump.
Yeah, he was appointed by Trump. I know that much.
Right, and then he didn't want to indict because he didn't think the evidence was strong enough to indict. So if you get, an attorney worth his salt who's not just going to do Trump's bidding, they probably are not going to want to bring the indictment.
Yeah. But there's one person who wants it, and he's the one who matters, Donald Trump.
That's right. It's funny. I didn't get to have time to read the entire order, but the judge quoted two statements by Bondi. In the first statement, she had said that she had read or reviewed the transcript of the grand jury proceedings and concluded everything was copacetic. And then the judge said, well, wait a minute, how could you have read the transcript when it wasn't even ready at the time that you said that you read the transcript? And then she quotes another order from Bondi where at that point she says, well, but if she's not an interim U.S. attorney, she's a special attorney and she still has the authority. And then she went through 2 or 3 different layers to try to back out from her original statement. So you just can't trust. I don't think that these people. One of the sweetest ironies of this, though, is that the judge cited the opinion by Judge Cannon in Florida that dismissed the indictment against Trump on the documents case on the basis that Jack Smith was not approved by the Senate.
Yeah.
So he took that. If you remember, she dismissed the indictment, saying that the special counsel was not legitimately appointed.
That's right.
He never received approval or sanction by the Senate. He wasn't confirmed by the Senate, and he was, I forgot what the terminology is, a special officer or something like that. And so this judge cited to that opinion to bolster her conclusion that Halligan is not a legitimate U.S. attorney because she wasn't approved.
Oh, that is a good catch.
There's some sweet irony in that, I suppose.
I'd forgotten about that whole mess over challenging Jack Smith's appointment also.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what.
Well, and then you had the mess in this case that sort of came and went, where the whole question of where Halligan acknowledged, the U.S. attorney and to the judge acknowledged that the grand jury had not even seen the final full indictment that was handed down. And that was such a horrendous admission on the DOJ's part that then the next day they reversed engine and said, no, they did see the whole thing. And now we don't know what the answer is. And it makes me raise the question, is the judge going to have to bring in grand jurors and interview grand jurors and say, were you shown this or not? I mean, is that where we are on that?
I don't know. They dismissed the indictment, so probably not. But they
probably not. Yeah.
Credibility. They just have zero credibility. I don't think before this judge, or probably any other judge, the way that they've handled this whole thing.
Hey, look at the mug I've got today, Blue. Look there.
Oh, hi. I love it.
Stetson. This is Jamie. Lou and I went to Stetson undergraduate and law school in Florida, and Lou's like the chancellor of everything. Or what are you now at the university?
I'm not chair of the board anymore, but I'm still on the board of trustees. It's funny because just earlier today I was emailing a bunch of folks at Stetson where got some business up.
I always liked that title. You were chairman of the board of trustees, right?
That's
right. That's a great
title. Than it actually is, but
that's almost as good as Supreme Commander of NATO.
There you go. The other big news today. Did you see? Hegseth is now saying that the military may recall.
Kelly, Senator Kelly.
To court-martial him because of what he said regarding, soldiers don't have to follow unlawful orders, which is exactly what the law says.
Yeah, right.
And the thing of it is, these are no longer like idle threats. The things that they are doing are so outrageous that they've done so far that I would not at all be surprised if they actually call him back.
Oh yeah.
Try to court-martial him.
Yeah.
And here's a guy who is a decorated veteran, flew dozens of combat missions, basically a war hero. And they want to court-martial him because he made an accurate statement of the law.
Yeah. Yeah, that unlawful orders thing, I got into, what are some unlawful orders that you can just look at things like what Trump said himself, and as examples, one was in his first term when his Secretary of Defense said that he told him, he says about protesters, the Black Lives Matter protest. He says, "Can't you just shoot them? Maybe just shoot them in the leg."
Right. Yeah. It's just it's every day. It's like something new that every time I think it can't get crazier than this, he makes he proves me wrong.
It's making it hard for the media to keep up. I mean,
at least it looks like his poll numbers are really tanking, and so maybe the public is starting to pay attention and realize, what a horrible person this guy is.
Well, yeah, I put on Trail Mix this morning. This right here. I mean, now that's some serious numbers right there. What we're looking at here is the only four consistent national pollsters. I mean, who are regularly in the field, national pollsters. Marquette is his best numbers. This is the net of his approval ratings of positive and negative. He's underwater 14. That's his best number in Marquette. And then you got Fox. People say, "Oh, that's Fox." They're biased. Actually, they have a pretty straight shooting pollster at Fox, but he's 17 under. And then Marist 17, Ipsos, and then AP's got him 26 under. Yeah. I mean, that's underwater. That's way underwater.
That is crazy. It's just, and Marjorie Taylor Greene saying things that I actually agree with.
Yeah.
It's like my world is turning upside down.
Yeah. We've been having fun, Jamie and Jack and a bunch of us, about Marjorie, trying to figure that out. I almost think, I think she's trying to I think she wants to run for president and inherit the MAGA mantle, because the battle for MAGA is underway. The MAGA, who replaces Trump in the MAGA leadership, and I think she's just placed her bid. Yeah,
I think I read an article, I think it was in Politico today, talking about that she might be angling for for a run in 28 as the true torchbearer for MAGA. Who knows? But
well, we know J.D. Vance wants it, and
God.
I think Rubio is still in the hunt. Who else do we have?
Those two want it so bad they can taste it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That will be interesting to see how that plays out, because Trump has kind of pitted the two against each other.
Yeah. Oh, he loves that creative. I mean, he's one of those manager types that believes in creative dissonance, I think they call it, where you pit employees against each other, and somehow that makes you get better results. I don't understand that, but that's what some believe.
I think JD is in it with Casca, with the lean and hungry look. He would be very happy if Trump would kindly fall over.
Well, the way Trump has been looking lately, I mean, 3 years is a long time. He looks terrible. I mean,
but that energy, he just keeps that energy going. That is the thing. I mean, he's energetically insane, but he still has that energy.
Well, I wonder. He had that MRI that which he said he passed. Every test that he has, he says he passes with flying colors, no matter what the test is, even if it's it's hilarious. But
I saw a neurologist interviewed about what you're talking about, and he said that he suspects that his doctors going back for a second visit like they did and doing a second neurological exam, and he says, and ordering an MRI, he suggests to him they do have some sort of concerns about cognitive ability, cognitive issues.
I'm no doctor, but as I get older, I go to see doctors more often just because I'm getting older, right? And
right, yeah.
MRIs are not part of a routine annual physical. I mean, the doctor only calls for an MRI if he suspects there's something that he can't see.
Right.
And that something is not a good thing. So who knows? And he certainly does not look, I mean, he may have energy, but he doesn't look very healthy to me. Of course, that orange pallor kind of makes it hard to make a judgment.
And there was the other day, he had these bags under, he doesn't sleep. I mean, he really gets about 4 hours of sleep. I mean, that's what he's always been like that. And I don't know how anybody can function like that.
I don't either, because from everything I hear, he doesn't exercise, he doesn't sleep, he has a horrible diet, he's overweight. drinks Coke, or is it Diet Coke or regular Coke?
Diet Coke.
And those are terrible for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Some crazy, crazy stuff happening.
Diet Coke. Now these numbers here were the best numbers I saw last week.
Wow.
And I did some comparisons to the past, and the interesting thing about these numbers is, first of all, this is a Marist poll, and they're pretty conservative. I mean, they don't do wild stuff with their models and their so on, and so they've got a 14-point lead here in what they call the generic. And I went back and looked at Marist in 2017 before Trump's first midterm. And in that midterm, which was in 2018, the Democrats netted 41 seats. Now at this same point before that midterm, this generic by Marist, Democrats were ahead 7.
Wow. So
they are now ahead twice the number they were in Trump's first midterm when they netted 41 seats.
Yeah, that's encouraging. That's encouraging. But man, we got to wait a whole year.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can happen in a year with this group in the White House. I mean, it's just one thing after the next. So I don't know. You saw that the Texas gerrymandering was declared unconstitutional by the federal panel. Now, I'm not sure if that's a federal district court level where they have a 3-judge panel, or whether they were actually in the 5th circuit.
It was an individual judge, so I assume it was a district court level. I think it was an individual judge making that decision.
Okay. I've read somewhere it was a panel, but I could be wrong. But
I just remembered thinking it's not the end of the line. They've got opportunities to
right.
reverse
That's
that.
Still encouraging. It's still encouraging that
Yeah.
it's been declared unconstitutional. So now Alito stated temporarily. We'll see what happens next. But gosh, wouldn't that be hilarious if the Texas effort is declared unconstitutional and they can't, gerrymander more seats, but the California effort, which appears to have been done, by the book, that's an additional 5 seats.
Well, see that that's what happens when you decide you can take over the country without democracy. It's a perfect comparison of the parties in Texas. Republicans just decided, well, we're just going to gerrymander on our own, and we don't care what the voters think. In California, they went and asked the voters. they gave it to the voters, and so now they've got a much more solid foundation for what they're going to do, because the voters just told them they can do it.
That's exactly right, and I think Indiana also came back and said, no, we're not going to do it. So this could end up.
And Utah, there's a judge there
that's right. Utah also. So I don't know. The tide may be changing.
Well, this whole gerrymandering project could backfire on Republicans. It was all Trump pushing all these legislatures to do it, and it's falling apart. And if Democrats keep up the momentum they had in California, Virginia's talking about doing it, and a couple other states, you could end up with Democrats or at least a wash in this whole gerrymandering, mid-decade gerrymandering project was a big disaster for Republicans.
But probably the funniest thing I've heard, funny and sad. Did you see that clip of Scott Bessent when he was trying to justify high beef prices? And he said the reason is that immigrants have been bringing cattle across the border with them. And there's cattle.
I didn't see that.
Oh my God. It was all over the place. I'm going to have to find it and send it to you, because I just fell off my chair when I heard that. He was on Fox, on one of the Fox, either the Fox Business or the regular Fox thing. And they were kind of beating him up a little bit on the higher prices, in particular beef. And he said, it's because immigrants, have been bringing over cattle that are diseased, and the disease is spreading, and it's causing, the prices to go up.
Oh my God. Had you heard that one, Jamie?
No, the only thing I got from my independent beef man was he said that the big corporations are driving the little guys out of business and hiking the prices. They're cutting into their grazing lands and a whole lot of stuff to try and get
here it
the small dealers out of competition.
Yeah, they've got one excuse after another. Let's see.
This is 6 days ago.
Oh, here it is.
Aimed high beef prices on illegal immigration and infected cattle from Mexico. U.S. consumers have seen a sharp uptick in beef prices due partly to screwworm outbreaks that have affected cattle imports from Mexico. Besant argued South American migrants who made their way to the U.S. under the Biden administration bore responsibility for screwworm outbreaks. Nationwide drought in the U.S. affecting vital ranching areas have also hurt cattle inventories, with the combination of factors spiking beef prices about.
Well, I want to hear what he actually said. Let's see. Let's go to the big end.
I wish I could show you. I wish I could.
Here it is. I think this is where he says
a disease that we've been rid of in North America made its way up through South America. As these migrants, they have brought some of their cattle with them.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent blamed high.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
You don't have.
I'll have to check out my local carniceria and see where they're getting their beef.
It's crazy.
Oh, that reminds me. Yesterday, when you were talking about pronunciations of cities in Florida. Yeah, of course, being a Californian, I always used to love when people would come in and ask where the Sancho Aquin was located.
No, what? For San what? How do you say it?
San Joaquin? Yeah.
Joaquin, yeah.
You could always tell the ones who didn't have a clue about Spanish pronunciations.
Yeah, I was talking yesterday, Lou, about how we could always tell who wasn't a local because they would say "Kissimmee" instead of Kissimmee.
Well, we have a lot of names like that.
Now, what is before we lose you? What's going on in Florida these days? I read about all kinds of crazy stuff, and I just wonder if
oh my God! I mean,
Florida could be saved.
I don't even know where to start. I guess what's closest to me is what's happening in higher ed because of my involvement with Stetson. And the higher education in Florida has become completely politicized, especially for public universities. I mean, I'm sure you heard about University of Florida, which is our flagship university, had been ranked, I think, 4th or 5th in the country as major research universities. And they've been trying to hire a new president. And so the board of trustees for the university, because what DeSantis has done now, he's got like 3 or 4 layers, approved the hiring of the person who had been the president of the University of Michigan, terrific institution, one of the best in the world, right? UM. And unanimously approved by the board of trustees, which were almost all appointed by DeSantis. But because you've heard of Hillside College, right? It's Hillside is a small conservative college up in the Midwest somewhere. And the guy who founded that college, I can't remember his name, he has been leading the charge to convert higher ed or to make higher ed much more conservative. Yeah. And he's in tight with DeSantis. And anyway, he called DeSantis and says, you can't, this guy favored DEI. So you can't, he can't really be the president. And sure enough, when it went to the next level of approval, which is at the state level, and these are all people that were appointed by DeSantis, they nuked him. So the University of Florida is still without a president.
And this is a vacancy because of that former senator they had picked, who ended up in some sort of scandal, right? That DeSantis had picked.
He came in. What was his name? He was the guy from Nebraska, I think.
The senator. I forget his name.
He comes in, and he's getting paid like close to $2 million a year, which is a huge salary for UF. He comes in, and unbeknownst to anybody, he starts entering into these consulting agreements with a bunch of his former staffers in the Senate and paying them amounts that are way out of proportion to what the prior president had done with his consultants, and ends up having spent something on the order of like $1.5 million from the president's discretionary fund on all of these consultants. And so we still to this day don't know the background story because it hasn't been made public. But all we know is that he announced suddenly that he decided to step down, and he did. But guess what? He's still a professor at UF, and he's still making $1 million a year.
Oh, he is? I didn't know. I thought he was gone altogether.
Oh, no. He's still a professor, and he's still making $1 million a year. There's no professor. I mean,
oh my God.
Other than the football coach or maybe the basketball coach, no professor at UF is making $1 million a year. It's ridiculous. And then, do you remember New College?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know about that, where DeSantis took that over and
appointed.
It was a very liberal college.
Right, not anymore.
Yeah.
He appointed Richard Corcoran. This is a school that has 900 undergraduate students. 900 it's about the third the size of Stetson, right? He's getting paid $1 million a year to be president of New College. There was actually an article in the paper in the Tampa in the St. Pete. I still call it the St. Pete Times. In the St. Pete Times, which said the cost per student at New College is like $475,000.
Oh my God!
How much money in this idiot? So there's so much stuff. Then he's got he's got a mini Doge going on here in Florida. So he's got the state CFO going to all of the municipalities and doing these so-called audits, which they're not audits, and then having press conferences and saying, this city is spending way too much money and they're overspending by X amount. And then, the city manager or whatever says, okay, well, show us how. Give us a spreadsheet. Give me the backup. And he doesn't have any of that because they're using this method of calculating overspending where they have this formula that they say, okay, given population growth and cost of living increases, your budget should not have increased more than X amount over the last several years. Of course, those are not, you can't budget a school board on numbers like that. You've got all kinds of other expenses that have to be taken into account. So that's been going on, banning all kinds of books.
And DeSantis did he pretty much give up on, did the whole business of trying to convert the high school curriculums and into becoming Bible schools? Is that still happening? Or?
No, that is definitely happening. Now it's slowed down because it's been challenged in court, and there have been some pretty good trial level opinions slowing it down. But it's winding its way up. It's before the
he's still at it
for the 11th, which is the second most conservative court in the country after the 5th.
Because see that all the craziness with Trump, it's occurred to me this year that all of DeSantis's craziness has now kind of gone underground, because Trump is getting all the attention. But DeSantis, every time I take a look, he's done something else crazy in Florida and throwing people out of city councils and firing prosecutors and this stuff you're talking about with higher ed. But it gets no national attention anymore like it used to because Trump's just got taken all the oxygen.
No, and there's like a mini scandal going on. Have you heard about the Hope Florida thing that Casey DeSantis started? So Casey DeSantis, his wife, the scuttlebutt is that he was trying to set her up to run for governor after this term, so she would be governor. And so her big thing was he started this organization.
Wait a minute, his wife, she wants to be governor?
That's the scuttlebutt. Yeah, she says she wants. The word is that she wants to be governor, and DeSantis, and Ron wants her to be governor, and so her big thing is she's set up this nonprofit called Hope Florida, which is supposed to provide through the private sector help for the poor and the indigent and what have you. And there's this, in fact, and there's a grand jury that's been impaneled in Leon County in Tallahassee investigating this, that DeSantis, through his then chief of staff, who is now our attorney general, misdirected about $10 million from federal grants that I think were intended to go to Medicaid or Medicare to an intermediate entity, which then donated the $10 million to Hope, Florida.
Wow.
When all that came out, a bunch of people were fired on the board and so forth. But the Democratic state attorney in Leon County has impaneled a grand jury and is investigating. So we've got that going on too. So never a dull moment.
I miss Florida, but not that stuff. I tell you what I saw the other day that I want to do. I didn't realize that Silver Springs became a state park and is a pretty neat place to go now. Because I thought they'd almost let it go under, and I didn't realize the state took it over and they're bringing it back to life. See, Silver Springs means a lot to me because in Orlando, that was the go-to place before Disney for when relatives came to town and so on.
That's one of the good things. The other part, I'm sure you've heard about the using state funds to convert parks into golf courses. I don't know if you heard about that.
That's been an ongoing thing that comes and goes. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it recently.
Well, that's, they tried to do that in a couple of parks here in Florida, but thankfully, put a kibosh on that. And then just recently, the most recent one is the state ended up paying, I think, something like $80 million for a waterfront parcel of property in Destin, Florida. And actually, Clay Henderson was all over the news on this because he was quoted.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing the articles you guys sent around about
this. Is like a 3 or 4 acre parcel of property, Craig, for $89 million. Turns out that the developer who sold it to the state, and the deal apparently was done, is a big crony of DeSantis, contributed to the campaign, and so forth. I mean, it's like we're back in the Claude Kirk days.
Yeah. Did you ever hear of Claude Kirk, Jamie?
No. Tell me about him.
He was our first Republican governor since Reconstruction.
That's right.
Back in the 70s, I guess it was, or I guess it's the 70s. Anyway, and he was just a big drunk and wild as could be, and had this German wife that he married while he was governor who spoke no English, and but I remember my parents were at a New Year's Eve party one time, and this was before Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and it became so politically incorrect to say anything. Well, it should be incorrect anytime. But he got up and he said at this party, he said, we just heard that Florida is number 2 in drunk driving. He said, so get out there and drive like hell because we want to be number 1.
He was a piece of work, man.
That was our governor of Florida. So crazy politicians in Florida are not a recent thing.
Well, that's the whole reason behind the Florida man meme.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Just put in the date and Florida man and something will pop up that's really wild.
Well, I'm going to have to bug out because it's 5 and I've got folks waiting on me. But Craig, I just emailed you a meme of immigrants trying to get cattle over the border wall.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, here I can.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I did, and I'll save it to my downloads, and then this will be a test of. I'm learning all these tools, and this will be a test of how quickly I can do one. I think I'm gonna get it right here, and I go there, and then I go over here, and there it is, and it's uploading, and there.
I love the one picture where the cattle are wearing sombreros. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. All right, guys, I'm signing off. Great talking to you as usual.
Okay, appreciate you hopping in.
All right.
Bye, Lou.
Take care.
Anytime.
Bye.
I'm going to bow out too. I just put up a theme song on the website for Trump's cabinet.
Oh,
yeah. Ship of Fools by the Grateful Dead.
Well, now, I would play that, but now I wonder, well, surely the Grateful Dead's not going to slam me. I don't know if you saw, when you and Jack and I yesterday were listening to the Sunday Serendipity, the classical music that he had put up yesterday.
Yeah.
And I got a message from YouTube earlier today that they had frozen that video. They had blocked that entire video because the owners of the copyright of that music that we showed they blocked it somehow. So I had to, but at least YouTube gave me an option where you could edit out the part that had the copyright challenge. And so they did that. So all that's been edited out of that video and it's back available.
Well, I know you were wondering about how much you can use. And
I know. Yeah. And the problem that I have is I don't mind these rules. I'm all for, protecting but they don't tell you in advance what music you can use and what music you can't use. It's what bugs me. So
maybe you should take that up with them because because you can take a song off of YouTube and put it on other sites. We do it all the time on Blue Sky.
See, the difference is if you put it in a video and then post that video.
I see. If you use it for your own purpose.
See, then at that point, I'm publishing something that's copyrighted is the way they view that is the reason.
Well, anyway, it's
got
appropriate lyrics.
Well, I'll play it here and we'll see what happens. We'll just take this one out on this, and you can scoot along. I'll in the stream with this song.
Bye-bye.
All right.
To see the captain, strangers I could find, laid my proposition down, laid it on the line. I won't stay for beggars pay, like wines, gold and jewels. But I would stay to learn the way to sink your ship of fools, ship of fools, on a cool sea. Ship of fools, sail away from me. It was later than I thought when I first believed you. Now I cannot share your laughter, ship of fools.
Okay, I'm Lady Mau Mau, Craig's built-in emergency brake. If this wasn't enough for you, sign up for the newsletter. It's free, it's thoughtful, and it occasionally makes sense.